Hello and welcome to the E.O.K podcast. This is episode 242. This is our first Wednesday of the month meet and greet. And today we're down at Entrepreneur Center, the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center. And it is an incredible place.
In Market Square.
In Market Square. If you're out there and you want to come down here, just come on down. It's 17 Market Square.
Yes.
I think that's the address.
Yes.
And just come on down. Today we're doing our meet and greet. Like you guys all know how this works. We cycle in little impromptu interviews. So Victoria here is going to ask me a couple of questions in a minute, and then I will get up and leave, and someone else will come. Then you will get up and leave.
Yeah, I will get up. And you get to stay.
We both shouldn't leave.
No, we shouldn't leave.
So Victoria will get up and leave, and then Bob Fox will come over and take Victoria's spot, and I will ask him a few questions about what he does. All right. I want to thank our wonderful sponsors for providing all of our space and technology and everything else. So special thanks to Knoxville Entrepreneur Center, Pershing Yoakley and Associates for providing the bandwidth that we consume, the space that we normally meet at over Cherokee Mills, and just all the great stuff they do. If you need anybody for accounting or business consulting, check out pyapc.com, and Pershing Yoakley and Associates can really help you out with all that. Jennifer Broyles came to our last quarterly event, was just amazing answering questions. They really know their stuff over there, so if you have questions about entity structure and taxes and accounting, definitely check out pyapc.com. I also want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Ludica Neely Group. Ludica Neely Group does a great job by giving us cold, hard cash, and it's great. We need cold, hard cash. And you can find them online for any of your intellectual property needs, copyrights, trademarks, patents. Check them out online at lng-patent.com. And also a special thanks to Neighborhood Nerds, one of our sponsors, who provide tech support for a small monthly fee online at nnerd.com or schnerd.com. We do schnerd.com because we're in Sequoia Hills. So we go sequoiahillsnerd.com. And to Fair Mechanics, our latest sponsor, and they're giving us some money, so we appreciate them. And fairmechanics.com is an application where you can go online as a consumer, post your repair needs, and area mechanics will bid on those jobs. So if you need a set of brakes for your 2003 BMW 3 Series, just go on there, put it online at fairmechanics.com, free account for users. All the area mechanics will come online and bid that job for you, and you can get that work done quick and easy with fairmechanics.com. And I want to introduce our wonderful new events coordinator, Miss Victoria Caldwell, and she's the reason that we're down here today. Victoria kind of got tired of how the scheduling wasn't going so smoothly on E.O.K, and it seemed like we kind of hopped around willy-nilly, and she said, I can put some order to this. She said, Leo, I want to help. I said, okay, you can be events coordinator. And then she helped out with the the Empowered Teen Entrepreneurship Camp that we had at UT, and it was just an incredible success. A lot of great kids, wonderful competitions, and we gave away a bunch of money. And
yeah, Donna Walker put that together. She's a really amazing lady. It was a great opportunity for me.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
And Donna's wonderful about organizing that kind of stuff and always looking for a way to help the young people, especially the people with that entrepreneurial gene. You know, the crazy people out there like us that think we can build companies and businesses and get super
There
rich.
were some kids that actually found the camp and came to the camp on their own. But there was also kids that didn't know anything about entrepreneurship and began with nothing, and the thought of a business, got a business card, had a commercial, a business plan, and got to present it at the very end. It was amazing in 1 week.
It was amazing because they record their presentations of their business plan, and they record their commercials, and we had some technical issues the night of the presentations. So one of the groups just redid their commercial on the fly live. So they couldn't play it back on the computer, so they just grabbed people out of the audience that came up, and they impromptu threw everything together and redid their commercial on the fly live. So it was pretty amazing to watch these young people do that.
They had Tom Graves, who was a University of Tennessee professor, who did a lot of the classes. They were great. We had speakers, entrepreneurs, companies like Ludica Neely came and presented IP presentation for the kids, and it was very informative. I really learned a lot myself.
And Chip Reed from Junior Achievement was there.
Yes, he was there. A lot of really, Kathy Brown, she brought the Google Glass, and the kids just went wild over that. It was just really an amazing thing. And
it's
they
just
got
incredible to see entrepreneurs in Knoxville, E.O.K, and Junior Achievement doing something like this, because that's just a powerhouse. Junior Achievement has the inroad to all of the area high schools and middle schools, where they're talking to those kids that already have that business mindset, that marketing mindset, the entrepreneurial kind of gene. University of Tennessee has incredible, instructors and curriculums and plans for the whole activities, plus the staying on site. And then E.O.K brings in the mentors, the judges, the experts in different fields to come in and speak to the kids about marketing, sales, research, intellectual property, all that stuff. So it was an amazing camp. If you didn't make it out this year, you definitely need to make it out next year. We're going to continue doing this every year.
Yeah, and you put your kids in there. I put my daughter in there. She loved it. It was really amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you go first. You ask me a few questions, try to figure out what I do.
Okay. Well, it would be a really difficult thing to figure out what you do, Leo, but I will give it a shot. So, Leo, what do you do?
Oprah Winfrey, right here. I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I started off in electrical engineering from UT. Went to work for a large corporation, Rockwell Automation. Did industrial automation projects all over the place for all kinds of customers. Started real estate investing while I was there because I thought, you really need some other source of revenue. You need multiple sources of revenue to really be comfortable in life and not worry about money someday. And then in 2000, went out and formed my own company, DBR Systems, where I continued to do industrial automation projects. So I go into manufacturing facilities and I walk around, I can't believe they pay me to do this, but I walk around, I look at like the conveyors and the robots, and I say, well, this is what I would do. And I just spend their money pretty much and say, well, I'd put a conveyor there, some operator interfaces over there, I would change the shipping with the way you're packaging over here and move it over here. I'll get rid of that shrink wrap machine and I'd put a stretch wrap machine back there. And I just draw it all up and say, this is what it would cost for me to do that for you. And I say, okay.
So more like efficiency expert.
A little bit of that, they're looking for reductions in downtime, because that's very expensive for a manufacturing facility. They're looking for new product lines, that's when they'll have me come in. Or they're changing out, there's obsolescence, like their old control system, they can't get support for it anymore, so they just want to move to a new control system.
So you're the to-go guy for them?
Yep.
Well, can't be better.
And then I started Bright Software, a software company of mine, because while I was doing DBR Systems, I kept seeing these opportunities of the customers asking the same questions over and over again. Could you build a diagnostic system for us so that it would troubleshoot the machine and tell me why the machine's down, give me some error codes? So I built that 2 or 3 times, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, they're pretty much the same. It's just a little bit of code changes that I put in the PLC, but this database and this operator interface are pretty much the same kind of thing that's telling you what's wrong with the machine. So I talked to a buddy of mine that's out in Seattle, and I said, hey, what if we form a little company and we take some of these applications that I've built and we package them and resell them, just start offering them as their own solutions to customers. And he thought it was a great idea, so we built Bright Software. And then Bright Software has kind of merged into, or grown into, this thing that's more of a software incubator now. So if somebody brings me their idea and says, I've got an idea for an app or a web app or a mobile app, and we look at it and say, well, there's a good revenue model and we see where there's potential exit, and we're interested in it, we'll put funds into it, plus we'll put...
That's how you did Fair Mechanics.
Yes, Fair Mechanics was an E.O.K member, Augustine Gattuso, came to me and said, I've got this idea for an application. He said, I hate how much time it takes me to go around and tell all these different mechanics what my problems are. I need a new set of tires, I need a new set of brakes. He said, you have to repeat the problem over and over again. All these guys give you different answers, and you never feel like there's not a lot of trust with the mechanics. And he said, what if we built an app where you just put it online one time, and then the mechanics who really know their stuff can look at it and bid it. I said, man, that's a great idea. So we kind of massaged the revenue model because I looked at it and I said, well, who's this really benefiting? You know, where's the real value? There's value to the consumer, but there's a lot of value to those mechanics because right now they spend a ton of money on marketing advertising that generates very little results for them. And I said, well, this system is completely opposite of all of the advertising systems they use out there, Angie's List, the newspaper, magazines, billboards, whatever, radio spots. Because for all of those, you have to sit back as that customer, as that mechanic and say, okay, what is my unique selling proposition? How long have I been in business? I have a commercial facility. And you take all of this information about your company and try to boil it down into a spot, into an ad that you're going to put out there. And then you hope and pray and cross your fingers and that someone will stumble across it and go, that's the mechanic I need. And I trust them, and I'm going to take the time out of my life to pick up the phone and call them and schedule an appointment and go take my car to them.
And trust them.
Yes. And for us, we said, why do it that way when the consumer knows what their problem is? I need a new set of tires. They put it online, and then the mechanics that provide tires go, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. It just seems a lot better way to connect those people together.
I had my husband sign up for it. He actually used it.
Oh,
he was
cool.
doing research on some of the work that our cars needed, and he put all of our cars into your system. So
It's really cool. Whenever you go in, you put your cars in because you can put pictures of them in, the interior, exterior, all the information about the different cars. You give them each a name, like mom's van, dad's truck, you know, whatever. And then you create jobs off of those vehicles. So I mean, it's a really neat project.
yeah, I think it will work great because come to think of it, whenever there is car trouble, you really never know who to take it to. And a lot of the times our regular mechanic that we don't really use very often because our cars don't break down, thank goodness, that much. You know, sometimes they're busy and they can't take it in for like a week. Or sometimes if they take it, they keep it like for 2 weeks. You know, so those are things you really have to worry about when you're considering, you know, giving your car to somebody and getting it repaired, so.
Yeah, and our review system, I like the way it works too, because it's such a local kind of thing. So Yelp is nice for reviews, but it gets gamed a lot. Like people you don't know, people the company's paying, you know, whatever, they're coming in and they're doing these reviews. In our system, you can only do a review from a mechanic you've done business with. So at the end of the job, it says, hey, you need to provide some feedback on this mechanic. And it keeps poking you every time you log in and saying, hey, you need to provide some feedback on this mechanic. So it's local, it's people you know, most likely, that are in the system that are reviewing these mechanics. So it makes me trust them a lot more.
Yeah. I really like the concept, and I think it's going to do really well. You've done a good job with getting it marketed through the local parts stores.
Yeah.
And so people are signing up. So yeah, it's interesting to watch.
It has been impressive. I'm surprised at how accepting all of these different, what we call affiliate partners have been. The parts stores, you know, Advance and AutoZone and the Quick Lube shops, about just saying, yeah, we'll put your retail cards, you know, here on this at the cash register in all of our stores to let people know that Fair Mechanics is out there, because they look at it and say, you know, one, it benefits the consumer, so the consumer's looking for a mechanic, so I want to help them find a good mechanic. The other thing is it benefits the mechanics that they sell parts to. They want them to be more successful so they buy more stuff. So they've been great about helping us get the word out.
So what else do you do?
I have an IT shop that I started called Neighborhood Nerds, and that was out of E.O.K, which is what I love about E.O.K, a bunch of smart people sitting around the table together talking. You know, whenever we're out drinking at pub night or having lunch together or one of these meetings, we come up with these great ideas and then we kind of vet them together. So everybody kind of shakes out the bugs out of them and figures out what's the streamlined, best solution that you're talking about. And that's what I did with Neighborhood Nerds. I had a couple of guys in E.O.K that the three of us were talking. We had a group that was kind of around us, supporting us. And we said, okay, we need a way to do, you know, support people, take care of their technology needs, that's, you know, where they have a trusted relationship with somebody. They have, it's not a super high cost to them, and they don't have any finger pointing. This one person takes care of all of their technology needs. And talking to different IT guys that were in E.O.K, they were saying, well, you can't really do that. The break-fix model is the only thing that's ever worked in the IT industry. Other people have tried membership models, but it's the break-fix, you know, something breaks and you get paid an hourly rate to go out and fix it. And I said, well, that seems so bad. I mean, like if you're an IT company and you're sitting in your office with your fingers crossed hoping your customer's stuff breaks so you can make money and go out and fix it. Wouldn't it be better like if you were getting compensated somehow to keep them up and running and healthy and happy? So that's what we looked at as a model to do that.
I really like your model. I really like the fact that all of these projects that you're talking about and businesses have come out of E.O.K.
I know.
And are based on E.O.K. And actually the neighborhood nerds support E.O.K, the website and the mechanics of the website and the streaming and the technical things. And even at the camp, Adonis Camp, you showed up and dealt with some of the technical problems that are associated with them.
And then Tommy went and got laptops. He went and bought laptops and let the kids use them.
You guys provided laptops for the kids, and yeah, it was just really amazing. Yeah. And I've noticed while I was meeting people through E.O.K that a lot of you guys help each other and communicate and really are there for each other if you need it. And I really love that. That's really great. It's good to have a foundation of support, like say sounding board, where you can really have a chance to speak your ideas to somebody and have people listen and give you feedback. Because I notice a lot of people give feedback and even better ideas than you had, so you can change your ideas as you go along.
It's been a great place for me. And people think that, you know, I'm doing something altruistic or something by starting E.O.K and helping run E.O.K, but I get more out of E.O.K probably than anybody else. There's always someone coming up and talking to me, asking me to come speak at some event or help with some activity, or just coming and bouncing ideas off of me. It's been great for me personally. So I love E.O.K.
Well, that goes, my first responsibility as a board member of E.O.K is the 4th quarterly event, which is going to be on October 8th at the Tech 2020 building in Oak Ridge. And the topic is making fans, not clients. Because a lot of us would have clients, but this is sort of like a little twist. I mean, what makes you a fan? So I've been asking people, what makes you a fan of E.O.K? And I'm really excited about hearing your stories. I think that's really amazing. And some people have told me their stories, and it's really great because a lot of it has to do with support and the quality of information, the quality of feedback that you get from people within E.O.K, and how everyone helps everybody else. That's really important.
I mean, that event, I mean, to me, that's an incredible topic. All the topics have been great. You know, should I stay or should I grow? The sales and marketing aspect that we did a couple of quarterly events back. But this one coming up, I think is incredible. Because whenever you talk to people about the most effective advertising or marketing, it's always word of mouth. They say, you know, yeah, it's a referral. When someone refers you to a friend or family member or whatever, that's pretty much a done deal. And those are the best ones. And we said, well, is there a way, and we started crunching on it, we've had a couple of meetings now, where we're talking about, is there a way to cultivate that kind of culture with your clients so that you empower them to be your fans, you engage them, you give them this opportunity to, a lot of them want to talk more about you, but they don't know how. And if you tell them it's okay, and you provide them what they want, you know, maybe an incentive, you know, whatever, there's a lot of ways to do that. And it's amazing to me, one company that I saw was Cookout Burgers. Jeremy Reeves, whenever he brought Cookout here, I was talking to him about it, and I said, because of technology and stuff that I do, I said, well, you know, what kind of website do you have, and social media, and how do you get people to know about your new locations when they show up? They don't have a corporate website. They don't have social media. They have, their fans have built multiple sites, have built multiple Facebook pages, and they don't even post their menu online. The fans post the menu online. the fans post where the next store location is going. And there's just like this buzz and this excitement from the people that like cookout burgers. I'm like, that's amazing. You know, that's a cool thing to have.
I agree. Well, just going into our next segment, Ludica and Neely is here, and it was just really amazing because how we ended up, having a meeting and meeting the president, Robert Fox, and he's going to be next, and they're sponsors of E.O.K. So
great sponsors.
Yes, when we made our appointment, we knew we were in the right place. And also, Ludica and Neely had an IP presentation at the summer camp. So it all really ties in. And it's amazing what a small community it is and how many times we run into each other and when we do things together and help each other. So it's really exciting. And if you can, please come on up.
You can take Victoria's spot and I'll ask you a few
Take my
questions.
spot.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria.
Well, I do have to disclose that I'm a client of Ludica Neely Group and have a special love for them. They've been great for me, done a lot of work for me. And they've been a sponsor of E.O.K, which I'm very happy about because we don't want just anyone to be a sponsor. We want people that we really trust, we like, and we want our entrepreneurs to be working with. So we only pick the best of the best to even approach to talk to about being a sponsor of E.O.K. So I really appreciate you being here today. Bob, Robert?
Either or.
All right.
Yes.
Because I've responded to you, Bob, a couple of times in emails.
Right.
but-
That's what people call me.
All right.
My formal name's Robert, but Bob is best.
So I've worked with Ludica Neely Group for copyrights, trademarks. I have not done any patent work yet. I've started a little bit on like some patent research for a few ideas that I have. But I was wondering, what else? What all is involved in intellectual property? Is that you come in and say, I have an idea for a new product, a new business. Do you guys tell the person what they need? Like, that's copyright, that's trademark, that would be a patentable kind of thing? Or do they have to come to you and say, I want to get a patent for this thing?
No, they come to us with basically what they have. They bring what they have, and we do our best to tell them what it might involve. And a lot of times it's not just one area. It might not just be patent. It might not just be trademark or copyright, but maybe sometimes all three or more. It can be involved trade secrets. It can involve copyright, patent, trademark, licensing, in all aspects. And there's a lot involved to deciding what area, what path you want to go down, and a lot of it's economic. There's, in a perfect world with no money concern, you'd want to try everything. But what we try to do is guide people as if we were guiding ourselves. Where do we think is the best place, the most bang for the buck, and where do you need to be spending the money for the most benefit at this point in your time? Because there's a lot of things you can do, but I wouldn't prioritize that as the main thing to do. But for example, if you come in with a new idea, the first thing, especially under the new rules, with new patent rules, there's a very there's very much premium on early filing date. So in the past, we would have been a little more reluctant to try to get a provisional on file just quickly to preserve an idea. But now there's a premium to get it on file quicker than in the past. And so we work with people to try to get them to understand what their options are, and then they make the business decisions. We don't make the business decisions, but we guide them with the intellectual property concepts and give them all the options that we believe are available and how to proceed.
I've been very impressed with you guys, like what you mentioned there about it's not just about money. It is, you really get in the shoes of that entrepreneur to say,
Yes, exactly.
I know, to say, what is the best bang for the buck? What is the value here? we don't want to overspend. We want to just, we don't want to break your bank just to try to protect your ideas against something that may attack it sometime. And I love how you guys have been like that. You've been very helpful to me. And a couple of times of saying, really like turning away money because it would have been money in your pocket to do a few things. And you said, no, I wouldn't do that right now. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Also, it's a little, like, what kind of background do is it engineering, electrical engineering? What kind of background do your people have at E.O.K Neely Group?
Right. Well, the only discipline that requires a technical background per se is the patent side, because to sit for the patent bar, you have to have a certain technical background. Now, typically, most engineering degrees will qualify for that, and various science degrees, chemistry and physics typically, will qualify you to sit for the federal patent bar. I have a chemical engineering degree from Vanderbilt. Stephen is mechanical engineering from the University of Tennessee. We have mechanical engineers, we have industrial engineers, we have electrical engineers, we have chemical engineers. We have various and sundry people in the office with different backgrounds. So what we try to do is we don't think of clients as our clients, but they're firm clients. And what we try to do is marry clients with the background that fits them best. And oftentimes we work in groups. Two people or more will work with the client because, if it's a software application, we get one of the electrical guys involved, or so one size doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
And now that said, a lot of our work is also primarily trademark, and we do copyright as well. And there's no requirement to have a technical background for that. But because of the interplay between the various intellectual properties, that's why patent attorneys have typically been a good place to go to get all that. For example, one thing a lot of people don't appreciate is the interplay between patent law and trademark law, particularly when you have a product configuration or something with ornamentation. What you can do is, if a product is successful enough and the appearance has come to have a different role than just being, beyond, if it's going to be a design patent, it's not just, it can't just be functional, it's got to be ornamental. But at some point, that appearance, that product configuration has come before the public so often and so predominantly that people start to recognize it in terms of the trademark, as a source indicator. So what you can do to extend the life, I guess it would be a good way to say it, of a design patent. You can't extend the life of a design patent, but after a certain level of sales and exposure, advertising and all that, which is typically 5 or more years after a product has been on the market, you could file for a trademark registration for that product configuration or appearance. And if it meets all the criteria, then you've basically gotten a trademark that, and as long as you continue to use the mark and maintain the registrations and such, which is use the mark most importantly, because the rights are by use, but you can have extra benefits because of the registration. That thing can go on forever. Yeah. So that's something that that's an interplay between trademark and patent law that is often helpful to people, and we see that on occasion. It's not every product.
That's something I've experienced. You really don't know how good your insurance is until you have a claim. You really don't know how good your contracts are until you have a problem when you're arguing. And I'm guessing, what I heard was you really don't know how good your patent attorneys are and your patent firm is until your patent has been challenged and defended successfully. And that was one of the reasons that I came to E.O.K early on also, because I had a buddy of mine, well, I had multiple buddies that said they'd worked with E.O.K. They had their patents, all the work done, the research and getting the patent and everything, but then also had it challenged multiple times and successfully defended. And they said that's the key, that tells you if it's a good organization or not.
Well, thank you. All patents are not created equal. But some of it's outside the scope of what your attorney may do, but prior art may exist that you just had no way of knowing about really. But right, a well-drafted application and prosecuted patent can go a long way to preserving your rights.
So what do you think about like entrepreneurs? We have a lot of entrepreneurs in E.O.K, and entrepreneurs are weird critters anyway, because we think we can do everything better than everybody else, and we pretty much think we can do anything. So a lot of us will look at, well, I can do a patent pending myself. Is that like trying to do surgery on yourself? Is that a bad idea?
It depends on the individual. A lot of people can do fairly well, but there are a lot of nuances that if you don't do it every day, you can easily make some mistakes. There's a lot involved, just know-how of how to do things, and that's also where the firm comes into play. We bounce ideas off one another. It's kind of like a group of, like this group. We bounce ideas. I go talk to people in the office, and different things come up, and we, people come to me all the time. I go to other people in the office and say, what do you think about this? And so that's what you get with a firm in terms of bouncing ideas, and you get experience, you get collective experience, and so that's a nice thing versus when you are just trying to do a patent yourself. You will know your product or your invention better than anyone, but there are ways of approaching it, ways of thinking that you may not have been exposed to before.
So what does it look like if an entrepreneur from E.O.K has an idea for a product or a service or a software application? What does that look like when they first knock on your door, or do they call you up and schedule an appointment, or just walk in?
It can happen in a lot of ways, and we don't see all of our clients, unfortunately. And the majority of our clients are not in the area. They're all over the country and in different parts of the world. So we do a lot of business by email and telephone and different things. But when we do get to sit down with somebody, or be the sit down via email, what we try to learn first is we try to get as much. They say, "What can I send you?" And my normal response is, you really can't send me too much, because something that might not seem important to you might be important, or vice versa. Something you think is very important might actually not be so important in the whole scheme of things. So we want to see it all and try to digest that we try to make it looks complicated, we try to break it down into simplicity. And that's, first, what we try to do is understand what the heart of the invention is. What are we going after? What is different? What have you done that will separate you from other things? And then you're not required to do a search, but when we do a search, what we try to do is focus on those key differences, what you believe is a difference, or what makes your structure or method unique, and attack those and see, okay, there may be some what appears real close art, but today there are staggering new pioneering patents, but most patents are not pioneering patents. They're incremental improvements or some subtle differences, and that's the devil's in the details.
Right.
So we try.
So what does that cost, like, for somebody to come in and do that initial visit with you? Is there a fee on that, or is that just something you guys do?
Typically a half hour. I don't know what our firm policy is, but typically a half hour or so, and it all depends on the situation. But we don't charge for them. We try to get that information because it's mutually beneficial to learn and get to know each other. And
because you may say, hey, this is not something you want to pursue.
Well, and there's been times where I've seen things where I just have a hunch, and I've had meetings where someone has come in and we've done our conflicts check, make sure we don't have a conflict with another client or something that would prevent us from representing them. And they'll tell me what their idea is, and it's a great idea. Unfortunately, somebody else thought of that pretty much identical thing a few years prior.
Yeah.
And so there have been occasions where more than a handful where someone has come in and I've kind of latched on to what their concept is pretty good. You understand, it's a great idea. I'll say, excuse me a minute, and I'll go to my office, and because I search all the time, or we search all the time, we're pretty proficient at it, and we try to be. So I'll find something, right? I mean, it's a 102B reference, right on point, and I'll print it out and I'll have them look at it and say, what do you think of that? And
You see their face kind of drop?
yeah, and then we shake hands and no try, or if it's been over, but it's, I think, a good value, and it's a good experience. Or if it's not like that, if it's more complicated, we explain the various options about searching, about filing, and all the nuances about whether you've disclosed or not, and how that can affect you. And the different options, it may be utility patent, it may be design, it may be both, it may be some trademark issues, it may be some copyright issues as well. So what we try to do is kind of like a triage, I guess, evaluate things and prioritize the options and the costs. We do some work on flat rate fees, particularly a lot of trademark work is flat rate for the filings or research. Prosecution can be hourly. Patent is more or less hourly, but we usually have ranges, and we'll give you an estimate and we'll stick by that even if it goes over, or if it's less. If we get into something and we find it very quickly, then time stops.
Yeah.
So, but our rates range from, Stephen, what is your rate? 150 an hour minus 350 an hour, and our highest is Andy Neely's at 380 an hour. And Andy's got 30 years experience, I've got 24 years experience, and Stephen's 2 years experience. So, kind of ranges between.
What kind of split do you see on, because I hear this a lot from entrepreneurs too, of, well, I have a great idea, I want to get a patent on it, and I want to license it to someone else, and I just want to make money off of that ongoing licensing, royalties or something, versus I want to get the patent from my own protection to build my own thing and go build it. Is there like a split there, a percentage that you?
Well, I don't know if there's a fixed percentage, but statistically I believe it is that patents are of most benefit to those who have the ability to manufacture themselves.
Okay.
Versus trying to sell somebody else on the idea and then trying to develop it into their business.
Yeah.
If you have an ongoing business and you've come up with an improvement for your business, who's going to benefit the most?
Yeah.
Now then, that being said, if you're able to take it to market, commercialize it, and create a genuine interest in the public for it, then you become
More attractive to them.
to other larger companies or other investors. So it's a tough road to go from I've got an idea in something that is a hobby, is not my main income source, to getting a patent, and you may get a great patent on it, but the way the business is, the way that technology field is, it's a tough entry.
Yeah.
So patents, more or less, are of most benefit, I'd say, intellectual property to those in a business field, who are able to take it to market and market them themselves.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Leah.
I'll stick up here, stick around, and ask another question or two. You want to come up, Carl? And I'll ask Carl some questions and I'll jump off. How are you, brother?
Doing fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. If you guys don't know, Carl Papa has been a member of E.O.K for a very long time. Very good fella to know. He came from the Tennessee Inventors Association, is how you found us, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And was working on his product then. And he has a product called Pin High Pro. And at that time, it was a pad that you laid on the ground, like out at the driving range or wherever. And you had a clicker on this side that gave you an audible tone. It was electronic at that point. And its goal was to get you to, you know how professional golfers like pinch the ball down against the ground, take that nice big divot that's about this big, and then all of us other guys kind of swat at the ball and hit it thin and hit it fat and everything. This thing makes you shift your weight to the left side and gives you that feedback so you know you're pinching that ball and you're taking that big divot and putting the ball out there. The big divot flops out there on the ground like the pros. It's just an incredible thing. Now Carl has moved on to a pocket Pin High Pro, which is even cooler. This little disc, like hockey puck thing that you stand on, no electronics, waterproof, just throw it in your pocket, take it out wherever, out on the green, at the driving range, on the fairway to the driving range. And it clicks whenever you shift your weight to it. So tell us a little bit about...
You've said it all. I can leave at this point. Thank you.
Because you didn't start off as a entrepreneur inventor.
No, I worked for the government, federal court system, retired in 2006, had a little over 30 years there. But I always tinkered and I always fixed things around the house, whether it was electrical or plumbing or my car. Not always fixed it right, but I always fixed it, and then I had to hire someone later to come in and fix it the right way. But I learned a lot during that time. But fixing things and tweaking things, that was just part of my personality. And as Leo said, my mat, the first mat was electronic, and there's a sensor under the left foot, your front foot, because a golfer really knows when he gets he or she gets their weight to the front foot. You never really know. Sometimes you'll have a real good shot, sometimes it'll be thin, sometimes it'll be fat. So the only way you really know is, in my case, was something, the first mat beeped. So it told me, gave me that instant feedback that my weight was there. So that improved my game, and many, probably 60–70% of the amateur golfers have trouble shifting weight to the front foot.
It was wild to me to watch that, because I didn't realize how big a deal that was. But, so as an amateur golfer, I'm standing there flat-footed, weight on both legs, don't move my hips at all, don't move my legs at all. Whack, upper body, and I can do okay, like putting the ball out there. But then I step on this pad and it's not beeping for me. But I watch a pro step on the pad and it beeps every time. Beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, he's doing something different than me that you can't really see.
It's all technique, and like you said, with your upper body, I played for many years using my upper body. I never used my legs at all. And I use more energy. You expend more energy than the pros that make it look so easy, and they can hit it 3 times as far. Well, that's the technique. Well, the technique is you start the swing with your lower body. Well, that's foreign to all other sports out there. If you ever played baseball, it ruins you, because you want to just kill the ball, and you can't do that with golf.
It's like you in baseball. I always have my weight on my back foot. And then shift as I come through.
Until the last thing, it all comes down together, and that's how you get your power. Then in golf, your weight and your hips need to already be turned, your weight's on your front foot before you hit the ball. I've got some great pictures of professional golfers, one especially of Tiger Woods. This is probably 10 years old now. But he's got his driver, and he's getting ready to hit the ball, and he's looking at the green, and his body's turned, the belt buckles, what they say you want pointing at the target, and he hasn't hit the ball yet. His body's twisted in this position, and the club head's probably about 2 or 3 inches still behind the ball. So he's creating all that torque, all that centrifugal force, and the club is bent. It looks like a fishing rod. It is bent way back, just ready to explode into that ball. But that's all technique. That is all technique.
It is wild the mechanics that are happening there. To your feet and your legs and your hips, pulling, starting you around and pulling your shoulders around.
The big muscles start to swing, the small muscles, which are the ones in your fingers, are the last ones to follow through. So it's kind of neat. But
So what's this process been like for? I mean, like talking about patents and stuff. Did you have to get trademarks, patents, copyright?
what I did, again, one advantage I had was I worked in federal court. So when I had a prototype that worked, and it took me almost no time, 1 week to make a prototype. Now it was flimsy, so I could step on it real easily to be sure that I connected the circuits and it did what I wanted, but I couldn't give it to a pro because if a big golfer stepped on it, it would crumble. But once I had the idea that worked, I took it to some of my friends in federal court and said, where do I go from here? So I got the name of some lawyers, and actually the lawyer that I went with, I didn't know about your firm, I went with, it was Pitts and Britton at the time.
Are we allowed to say that while you're sponsoring? Yeah. We can strike that if you want to.
So that
blur that out.
and it's funny. The other funny story I have, or I don't know if it's funny, it's interesting to me, is I worked in federal court for 30-some years. I knew all criminal lawyers, a few civil lawyers, not one patent lawyer, had no idea about patent law, and you would have thought that paths would have crossed somewhere during that time frame, but they didn't. So once then I started the prior art search just to see if someone else had the idea, and then when they didn't, well, then the next step I did was, how do I make my product to the point where I can take it to you, the pro, and you can say, hey, I like it, or this is stupid.
Yeah.
So then I went to some machine shops, and some big blocks of plastic I had laid to meet my specifications. I tried plastic, I tried aluminum, I tried all these different products.
So was this before 3D printing?
Right after that came 3D printing.
Okay.
But the first couple I was spending a lot of money, and it was absolutely driving me crazy because I would have something made and it would take a couple weeks to get it. As soon as I had it and tried it, I knew it wouldn't work because of this little thing. So I'd say, can you fix this? He said,
Had to make a new one.
no, well, that would have been even okay. I would have taken it. He said, no, we got this big job that came in. We're going to be tied up for a month. So then I'm thinking, well, I'm going crazy. I'm ready to jump into this thing because I got a little bit of momentum going. So I did that for, I don't know, several months waiting to get what I wanted. And then 3D printing came in. So I learned about 3D printing. My engineer and I would fix what we wanted, send them an electronic file, and boom, 4 days later I had it in hand. That didn't work either, but I could tweak it and get it back. So that's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
The time is important, and I had it in hand. So that helped me move my process along faster. So the mat was going, so I could get it working. Then I had a mold made. That was the next step that I had.
Do you think, like, something I've wanted here, and I've seen them popping up around the country, are these tech shops, where you pay a monthly fee to be a member and be able to have access to the tech shop. So you can go in and they have 3D printers, they have CAD workstations, they have graphic design, software, all of these things where you could prototype and you could design and you could even electronic stuff. They have the ability to I don't know if it's like the placement robots for building like a circuit board or something, but they have all of these tools. And they said it costs like $350,000 to start one up or something. But there's like 30 of them, I think, across the country now.
But that must be a newer concept. Now, when I started my project, it was probably 3.5 years ago. And that wasn't out there. At least I didn't know about it. Again, remember, I came from working in federal court, so engineering stuff, I had to learn all that. I didn't know about business plans or any of those things. So when I needed something, I would get online or by joining groups, E.O.K, the Vendors Association, and then someone would say, hey, get online and try this. Or someone would say, hey, I needed a circuit board. Well, then I had to learn that process. That's an expensive process. Get the electrical engineer to design. So I'd say, here's what I want. It can only be this big. It can fit in this little box.
I have somebody that just contacted me. I gave them your contact information because they're wanting to build a device that they need to talk to you guys too. Because they have, it's like 2 devices that already exist out in the wild and being sold retail, but they're like repurposing these 2 devices and making some new device that combines the functionality of both of them. and they're wanting help with case design, and they're also wanting help with retail packaging and the embedded controller, like the software.
Well, help them all that I can. So I just learned it step by step what I needed. And then when I finally had my product, and all that was hard enough, and all that was a challenge, then comes this wall called marketing. Oh, that's the toughest thing to climb I've ever found. So I would start to go around again to the pros, people that I knew from playing golf all those years, and I'd say, hey Leo, I've known you a long time.
I need to solve it.
Will you try this with some of your students and see if this works or not? Give me some feedback. And so some of them, they like the idea, they like the concept, because if you say to any golf teacher at Knoxville, do you have students having trouble shifting weight to the front foot? They all do. It's a very, very common problem. So I drew on my friends, so we started selling these mats in the shops, and then I got it at some golf tournaments, the nationwide tournament, West Knoxville. I had a booth there for a couple of years. So I'm trying to brand my product, but my product was costing me $30, almost $40 to make because of the circuit boards and because of the small batches. So now I'm selling it online for $99, which was reasonable compared to other golf products. But it's real slow. So now I got this other idea, and I don't know if it's good or not. So now the idea is, let's get away from all this electronics if you can. I mean, it has some functionality that's really good, like it has the LED light, remember that. But let's get something simpler. So I had this idea about a clicker. So it's a little stainless steel flat clicker piece.
It sounds like those dog clippers.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And it's still a very low profile piece, my product is. Goes under the front foot. It's got a 3M non-slip pad on the top and on the bottom, so you can use it on hardwood floor. Inside, you can use it to driving range. So when you shift your weight, now the instant feedback isn't an electronic beep, it's just a click. But it is instant and it's automatic, so you know if you shifted your weight or not. It fits in your pocket. If you go to my website, one of the last things I do is put it and take it into my pocket so you see how portable it is, ultra portable. But it's lightweight, weighs 3 ounces, and it does the job. And one of the things that I found is the simpler, the better. My first product, and the mat is still for sale. It's still doing okay. There's wires, there's a 9-volt battery, there's a circuit board, there's a piezo buzzer, there's a momentary on switch, all the stuff that I've learned all about. And this other one's just, a flat stainless steel clicker piece and a couple of springs, and that's it. So simple's better, but that's my story. And still a problem is the hardest nut to crack is marketing. How do I convince you to try this? I got to somehow get it in your hand. You can go to the website, you can look at a video and try it. The new product is priced at $24, $24.95, which very reasonable. Dozen golf balls would cost you a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But getting it in your hand, so that's the challenge that I have. So I'm looking at videos it's at golf courses around here. They've sold everywhere. I sent some to London, England, a month or so ago. So
I think you need to do another crowdsource, another E.O.K meeting where you bring it in, show what you're doing on retail stands and marketing and everything, and let everybody kind of give their feedback on it.
The bottom line is, you got to try everything, because what worked for me, might not work for you, or vice versa.
I need to track everything.
Absolutely.
Because you need to know where these leads are coming from.
I do know where the leads are coming from. I know what keywords are typed into the Google search to find us. I know all that stuff. I feel that what I need at this point is a teacher in Knoxville to try my product, to like my product, and there's several out there now, but then shoot somehow a very short infomercial and get it. I don't know about the Golf Channel. That is so expensive, but that would be a perfect audience. But maybe not the best audience, because if it was just on regular TV, it's just a very short segment. Like I said, it doesn't need to be more than 30 or 45 seconds, I wouldn't think. But it might be Father's Day and your wife's trying to figure what to get you. So It's not
I like
for
the,
golfers, it's for other people.
and I've seen it across several of your commercials, but I would think that it would help to have the amateurs, you know, it says amateur golfer, and they're using your product and they're not clicking. So they're like swinging and swinging and swinging and there's no click. And then here's the pros, you haven't given them any instruction or anything. They step up and every time it's click, bam, click, bam, click, bam. You know, it's like, okay, they're doing something differently than you are.
Yeah. Yeah,
This thing will fix you. And it's not it's not like one of these clubs that you buy that's perimeter weighted or this shaft that works differently or anything like that. It doesn't correct. Well, it doesn't like patch something that you do wrong and allow you to continue to do it wrong. It fixes your problem.
teaches you the muscle memory, helps
Yeah.
establish the muscle memory of getting that weight to the front foot without swing thoughts.
That's why it needs to be almost engraved or something you can hand down through the generations. Because it fixes your golf problem. You don't need it anymore. So then you give it to somebody else.
Here, son.
Yeah.
That's right. Here's son.
Well, I'm going to jump off. Thank you, Carl. Always great, brother. Jim, will you want to come up?
Okay.
Talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm thinking fluidized beds, but I don't want to.
Let's talk about your golf game. You have to sit down here.
Well, my father was a great golfer, had 2 hole-in-ones.
Good for him.
Played at Holston Hills, got me interested in golf when I was about 12.
It's a great game. It's one of the few games you can play your entire life. You can play with your friends. You're outside, and if you're fortunate enough that your dad plays, then it can be a father-son event that you'll remember playing golf with him always.
Golf
So good for you.
Golf is a true sport. Nobody has any control over your game but yourself.
That's
No officials can interfere with your game. It's completely up to you. It's a perfect sport.
Well, now it's good to see you. Tell me a little bit about you, what you're doing now.
Well, I actually prosecuted a case in the federal court system years ago.
Okay.
That was a wonderful experience. Some boys up at LMU wrote a window program before Windows was around. And a very corrupt individual hurt them. And I prosecuted him later. Got rid of him.
Yeah, good. It's good to hear.
I like to work. I was a paper carrier, worked at Home Light Chainsaw in high school. My algebra teacher was Roger Lukey. Had Lukey Boat Works on the side, and I worked on the boats, and he built a drag boat. Worked at JFG Coffee Company, where my father worked in the summers. Went in the military, worked in nuclear weapons in the Air Force during Vietnam. Got out, worked for AT&T across America, and then the Bell system here. And got involved with the Mobile Steam Society in Oak Ridge, which was a group of people that worked on the Manhattan Project that were mostly retired. And this is a wonderful broad spectrum of scientists and engineers that experimented, among other things, with building steam cars. And I told them I would work with them if they would bring people to the club once a month and give us a lecture about something that was going on at Oak Ridge. And one of those people was W.H. Flashman, a truly brilliant engineer at Oak Ridge, who was working in the development of something called fluidized bed combustion. After the oil embargo of the 70s, America decided we needed to go back and look at coal. And there had been, in the early 20s, some development in fluidized bed combustion. It was first discovered
Here in the United States?
Well, in Germany and in England simultaneously. Odell and Hans Winkler both. Some people say that the creator sends down ideas and some people can pick them up. So simultaneously, two people were in the original development of fluidized bed combustion, which is burning a substance in a mass of tumbling solids. It actually looks like an erupting volcano, but it provides a much better environment for combusting any type of fuel and an ability to control temperature in the combustion process to vastly improve it and help things burn.
So it drives a turbine then?
Well, you could use it to drive a turbine. You can also use that same turbine to fluidize the bed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
A shaft off of that same turbine, much like a turbine in a car would work. So anyway, they asked me to build a model. I worked with Bill Flashman, and he helped me understand how that technology worked, and asked me, and the boys wanted me to build a model for their national steam meet. And I built one, and they got really excited about it. I didn't understand why, but apparently the one they had at Oak Ridge didn't work very well, and mine worked a whole lot better. Things went downhill from there. But I wound up, I got in a lot of trouble. Shut down an $800 million project. And you can imagine what that does. I went to the patent office to see if I had actually done anything patentable. I was doing a patent search and decided to go up and talk to some of the patent examiners. And they said, what makes you think you can do something that nobody else in America can do? And, I don't know. Well, what'd you do? And I told them, and they asked me to come back that afternoon. They said, you're doing your own patent search, aren't you? And I said, yes, sir. And so I came back that afternoon. They took me to an auditorium with all the examiners in the patent office. And they asked me to stand up and tell them what I had done. And they said, you've really done something. We will open our private files for you to study so you don't have to search through all of the millions of patents to try to find out things that are similar. They explained the patent process to me, encouraged me to write and prosecute my own patent, which I did. And of course, it was thrown out immediately, which, you know all about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But eventually I have a method and apparatus for fluidized beds involving heat or combustion. Patent number 4580505, which long ago expired, and consulted all over the world, helping people design and build their own models.
Wow.
And someday we will have that type of furnace in our homes, generating electricity cheaper and cleaner than plants like our Bull Run steam plant, which is the most efficient generating plant in the world, because Oak Ridge makes sure that it is. And burning solids, liquids, or gases.
So do people still call you now for
your
advice?
I am right now recovering. I came up here with broken ribs and separations. I took a 20-foot fall working with some coal miners up near Kentucky the other day. And should have killed me, but it was a wonderful miracle. I landed in the only spot where I was given an opportunity to survive.
So you can promote this idea?
So I can promote this. God ain't through with me. So I have some people from India that recently contacted me and trying to figure out how I can work with them. I'm used to dealing in a more direct fashion with people. I published plans for this years ago and just offered them to people literally for the expense of mailing them to them. And it's just one of the things I like to do. I worked in solar in Albuquerque, New Mexico, built probably the first air solar system in America with a wonderful group of engineers from Intertech Engineering. I worked in aviation. I'm a pilot. In aviation research, correcting some problems with in aviation where people were being harmed and it just wasn't being picked up on.
Well, that's why you have these ideas, all these different life experiences.
I love solving problems.
Yeah, sure. I think we all do.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's a challenge. It's
I'm a
challenge.
very fortunate person. I've been around some of the most fantastic people in the world all my life.
Well, that's the other thing, is surrounding yourself with minds like here in E.O.K.
Absolutely.
Because you can bounce stuff off Leo or other members, and hopefully we'll support you.
I got involved with them because of the Tennessee Inventors Association. A wonderful group, E.O.K, who helped design the first nuclear submarine.
Plasma antenna and about 16 other patents.
He's a wonderful guy, and
Brilliant.
And if we were approaching our nuclear problems correctly and going with a breeder reactor, which does not generate the waste that everyone sends propaganda up telling people that it's bad. All our nuclear plants have been designed using the worst possible designs. It absolutely infuriates me. There's a wonderful film called Pandora's Paradox that was just shown in the film industry that explains how we've been going about this nuclear business all wrong. And I encourage people to see that film. But anyway, Igor Alexiev and I were very close, and we just lost him this past year. And his wonderful wife Ann and I are very close friends. And we'll be attending an astronomy meeting at the Grove Theater in Oak Ridge tonight. I encourage everyone to come. Dave Fields runs a wonderful astronomy group that I'm associated with.
And the Tennessee Inventors Association meets the fourth Saturday of each month at LMU.
That's
Ann
right.
is still a member.
That's right. At the Cedar Bluff
LMU
location.
campus and their satellite campus.
That's something we should have on the E.O.K. calendar all the time.
That's a good idea.
I would still
That's
like
a good
to get both
combination.
groups together too. The speaker this month is going to be a man from SCORE. He's going to come in and talk about some of the things that SCORE has to offer. Last month was Eric Dobson about angel investing. Some of the same people that are a part of and speak at E.O.K. are in our group as well. We've had marketing people. Dr. Gene Overholt spoke at our group a couple of months ago, a fabulous speaker, and an inventor. So a lot of brilliant minds from East Tennessee, so it's kind of fun to be part of that group. I enjoy it, and I think that you enjoy it as well.
It's wonderful that we have that kind of group here. We're so fortunate. This
Absolutely.
community that we live in East Tennessee, Oak Ridge, all these entrepreneur types.
That's right.
Thank
Jim?
you.
You want?
I'd like to hear Jim ask Richard some questions because
Oh, please.
Richard has
Richard?
Richard does a lot of stuff, but one of the things that he worked on a while back, I forget what the name of it is, where you convert like tires and shingles to a liquid fuel. What's that called?
Well, it's called a pyrolysis system,
Pyrolysis, yeah.
which the University of Missouri put together. That is the Rollo, at Rollo. There are about 400 students working on it for the last 15 years. I've been up there many, many times. Dr. Flanagan invented it, or put it together. And I tried to sell it across the United States. I succeeded in selling 3 units. They were $350,000 apiece. So I took my wife out to dinner. We thought that was pretty good. I didn't know enough about the law. The contract that I signed said that I'd provide proof that it worked, which I got a lot of those kind of contracts before. But you can't get a performance bond on a process. That little fact escaped me. I thought it'd be easy to get performance bonds, because I got them before. So the Chinese bought the whole system for $45 million, and we're all out in the cold. How's that for a success story? Anyway, you triggered a lot of palaver when you asked that question, but that's where it is. Fluidized bed is a big part of the system.
I see.
So,
Large industrial sizes.
oh yeah. Yeah, that's my back. I had a job once, which was a catalytic construction company. We boomed around. We built the last refinery ever built in America. So it's been a hoot, so to speak. But I think I'm an original entrepreneur, which is really an entrepreneur exists because he's an inventor. Frustrated inventor ends up being an entrepreneur. Anyway, that's my version. Anyway,
Well,
look forward to working with you.
Tell us about the process a little bit. I'm sure people would like to hear what's going on. How's it work?
Well, it's very boring, but the prototype which we built, which is up in St. Louis right this minute, looks like a horse trailer, but you put a tire in there, and you get back 3 quarts of oil and whatever other components, stainless or whatever. It's just a wonderful process.
Fairly efficient.
Very efficient, nothing pollutes the atmosphere, anything else. But we got so bound up in patents. I'd say there's about fine print, there'd be a page of patents. So it had nothing to do with the mechanics of heliarc welding versus some other stick welding. It had nothing to do with it. What has to do with it is pages of patents, which is little sour grapes, I guess. But anyway, that's I'm just tickled to death to be here. Thanks, Liam. I guess the idea started out maybe 6 months ago. The concept that all of us people who are trying to help small business get in one clearinghouse. That was the birth of this place. And the intent is to do that. So that evolves into where my niche in the whole thing would be making little videos about whatever your product is. And that's what I'd like to do. That's what I am.
Well, let me ask you about this tire consuming process again, or you're regenerating a useful fuel. Why don't we have those around here?
Well, because the politicians don't have any guts. I guess that's the
Could we put one in our neighborhood?
Well, yeah, but you couldn't get a permit.
Maybe out in the country?
Well, sure. Well, he has that there in St. Louis right now.
We need them here in Tennessee. People approached me years ago about wanting to know if I could burn rubber tires. I said, yeah, why would you want to?
Well, rubber
Sounds like
tires.
you're doing something useful.
Well, there used to be a company here called BTR Rubber, Schlegel. They made all the rubber gaskets for your car. worldwide. They flew over and made a contract with me to get rid of their waste rubber, which was like 100 tons a month. Think about that for a minute, 100 tons a month. So we wore everybody out on the subject. They used my data to justify closing the plant and moving to Mexico. Flew you from Mexico. So that's legal. So, well, anyway, what I'm speaking to the camera is a very frustrated person. And that's evolved around to where I think we're on the right track now. We can make a production of whatever your product.
So 100
That's
tons,
not fun.
100 tons a month, that's what, 30 tons of oil?
Well, I don't have any of that data.
Possibly.
Well, it was a lot.
Sure.
You know, thing is, that get away with the waste stream.
Yes.
You know, it's all things good. It's like too good to be true. I guess that's where it bogged down.
Recycle and reuse, which is what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, yeah, it fit all the criteria. And when I got thanks for my bond, I was laying off some of my friends and they are now unemployed. You know, that's a success story, isn't it?
I think you've done a wonderful thing.
No, I didn't. I aggravated a lot of people. And, but anyway, I just want to say thanks for being here, and I haven't seen the end of me. So how's that?
Hey, you stay up there, Richard. Sean's coming up to take Jim's place.
Okay, I'm next.
And you ask,
Oh, I get to ask you?
yes.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna wake you up.
Boy, that's a good idea.
Golden liquefaction.
Okay, I'm gonna wake you up, all of you. Okay. Okay, so my name is Жанна, last name Krotova. It's Russian kind name. So I came to E.O.K with an idea to make, since I did not know it's two entities, KEC and E.O.K. I thought you are related. See, I didn't have any idea until now that it's two separate entities. And since Knoxville has already those two separate entities, Knoxville, not such a big city in the United States, so now even more I'm excited. Why not to make Knoxville the entrepreneurial incubator of America, period. Okay, and the idea was how the entrepreneur starts from the beginning, how he goes, what you told, the whole process, just like an autopsy of entrepreneurship. The beginning, the manufacturers, the suppliers, the distributors, you know, the whole autopsy of an entrepreneurship. So since that's such a big project, everybody got scared. They said, no, it's such a big project and everything. And I said from the beginning, okay, I'm going to throw in my idea. And I'm going to see how it works from the beginning till the end. And I did. And the idea is very simple. Okay, it's a mattress. And, okay, we have the mattress, okay, we have fitted sheets with everybody, you know, you have to leave the mattress to put those, and I ended up just with flat sheets because it's difficult for me, you know, to play around the mattress. So the idea was, why not to make it so simple, just like this. You don't have to leave the mattress, nothing, okay, so, and, okay, it's not the perfect mattress, but anyway. And the hem around with those drawstrings, right? And you have the perfect fit. So now, how I'm going to start the whole this thing? So, okay, you got the idea, right? So anyway, so you go all the way to say here. So how to do this? So I started reading books. I bought NOLA books, you know, the big books, and it took me I had this idea actually for 5-10 years, I believe even 10, but I did not know how to start. And that one is the problem with entrepreneurs. They don't know just simple things, where you're gonna start. So now I bought those big books and I was reading, you go nuts. So finally, yeah, if I would have a place like Entrepreneurs of Knoxville and just to go and talk to somebody and just like, it could be, much easier. So now, finally, when I met Leo and E.O.K. and all that stuff, and I said exactly, okay, I'm gonna throw my idea. So now, okay, so I read about provisional patent. So I had to figure out, am I gonna go for a real patent or just provisional patent? Okay, so I don't have time to go for real one. I need it fast. So fast and to find out if is it work or not. So that one, the questions what entrepreneurs are facing right from the beginning. So now, I start just to go to a lawyer, it takes a lot of money. So I decided I'm gonna write it by myself. So it's not such complicated, so I'm gonna do it by myself. How to do this? Again, so no one to ask. So I start looking through internet, just a patent. How does it look? What does it say? So finally I found just one patent, just about similar words. In order to write, you have to use similar words. So that one is also a problem. So I start looking for phrases, words in that patent, and I wrote my provisional patent. I did it by myself. It took me a month. I was writing, rewriting, and again. And I'll show it to you. It does look, and I'll tell you the real story, what has happened. So, if you're gonna, can we see it or not? So those are the drawings. I had the drawings, I had everything, just like this. Can I show to this?
Sure.
Okay, it's only part of the drawings, it's 8 of them. Okay, so how to make drawings? See, everything is a problem. So now, when I wrote it, I have to find a lawyer. Okay, so I asked some people, they told me whom to call, So I called a lawyer, who the KAC told me to call. And she said, it's going to take me 45 days in such amount of money. A lot of money. Okay, and so I asked somebody else, they recommended me from E.O.K, my broker, my real estate broker. So I called up that guy, and he was not in. And the receptionist said, would you like to talk to somebody else? And I thought, I have just questions, I can talk to anyone. So I said, yes, okay. And she just put me through, and that was Bob, that guy who was sitting here. And
President of Louisville.
And actually, he's the president of this whole E.O.K stuff.
But he was here today.
Right, and I did not know, and he was so nice. Okay, the lady, the previous one, she was not as nice to begin with.
Don't forget it's 1/3 the price.
Right, wait a second. So, actually, I paid him 1/3 what she told me to do, to pay her. And again, she said 45 days. He did it in 1 day, Okay? 45 days versus 1 day.
1/3 the price.
And 1/3 of the price. And he's so good. So I'm the testimonial how this E.O.K guy is working. Okay, they're wonderful. I never ever. He talked to me when I called him. He talked to me. My English, everything. But he talked to me. And that's lawyer. $350 per hour, and he did not care. He did not bill me for that talk. So he just was talking, and even I told him I worked in Houston and he knows somebody. So he just talk. It was so wonderful. So anyway, I met him. I showed to him what I've done, what I wrote. He accepted right away. So it looks good.
You took
And-
pictures?
Yeah, I have pictures, I have everything. If you want, you're welcome.
Well, can I interrupt and ask, what should we do for you?
Right. Now, yes, please do. I need you. So he made a search. And the search showed that is a similar, it's the zippers right here. It's a similar one in another pattern. So now, how everything else is different. I have a hem, they have something else. Okay. So now it's a problem. I have to come up with different kind of slicener. And which I thought, and now I need you. That one is also a slicer, right? Sliding fastener, right, correct, thank you. Okay, so I need to find the manufacturer, or even guy who invented this. It's also plastic, okay, just to make it in fabric, in textile, and it's a different, it's slicer also, okay, period. I can beat that guy, the previous prior art, you know what I mean? So I need your help. How can I
She
find
needs a new type of sliding fastener.
Right.
And then she can
help you.
Great.
All right.
Okay, so now I think I have another one. So I came with alternative embodiments, okay? And I have 3 of them, but I'm gonna show you one. So it's even better. Okay, so I do need the entrepreneurs badly. Okay, now again, what should I do next? Whom I should talk to? How to find right people to talk to, you know? There are all kind of questions which I have and no one, you know, I don't know where to go and what to do.
You might want to talk to Dave at some point about going public.
Okay, we have another one.
Or the
See,
strategic partnership.
it's even kind of better. It's a flat sheet, okay? So the idea is to be easy to handle those fitted sheets, you know. So that one, see, doesn't have cutouts. The same thing, yeah, just on the top, which no one thought about this. Okay.
Now, why is this better than a fitted sheet?
You don't have to raise it.
Okay.
You don't have to fight that mattress, you know. I mean, it's easy. You don't. It's just nothing much.
And also, some people prefer a definite edge compared to the sloppy, you know.
Right,
ends.
and it fits perfectly because I just in my drawings I showed in order to create the tension we have to minus to less 1 inch from each side, and it's going to create tension. It's just going to fit just perfectly. It's not going to be any loose.
Your elastic doesn't wear out as fast.
Okay. So now I need you just to ask questions. As a lawyer, I have questions, and I need to come up with a different slicener. Okay.
Richard, you've done a great job interviewing.
We know everything about the process.
Well, I have to say, thank you for sharing this.
Okay. So now we're gonna have a lawyer. I'm gonna ask you questions. Okay. Great.
Oh, Dave, go ahead. Dave. You're the lawyer.
Okay, you got him for as long as you can get
No,
him. And you can ask whatever question you want, but have him introduce himself first.
Okay. Right. That one is our member of E.O.K, Dave
Morehouse.
Morehouse.
That's right.
Very nice man. I was talking to him also about that whole thing about entrepreneurship idea for United States of America. So he knows everything, and he was very nice. And so I would like to introduce him. So now you talk.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Dave Morehouse. I started my own legal practice at Morehouse Legal Group about 18 months ago now. I specialize in representing small businesses. I like to describe it as small businesses that want to grow to be large businesses. So we do a little bit of setting up the business. We do some, helping finance, do some, customer sales contracts, up through some fairly esoteric securities law work. I'm one of the couple of lawyers in town who carries the licensing or carries the liability insurance, most important for lawyers, for actually holding ourselves out to do representation in the securities industry. I don't like to sue. I mean, I figure if we're in court and something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. So I hope never to wind up there.
Okay. So now can I ask you questions?
You may ask me questions.
Okay, great. So now is the question. What I understood, okay, since I already filed,
Yes.
so now I can go and collect interest. I can go to everybody, talk to everybody, and it's okay. So, but isn't that just kind of, if somebody else like had similar thing or whatever, I'm gonna give just kind and other companies gonna like my idea better. Isn't that advertisement for somebody else? It's gonna go around.
So if there's, let me make sure I'm asking. Let me make sure that I'm answering the question you're asking. So you're asking, I think, if in going to talk to the folks who make the Ziploc bag or something like that, are you also effectively advertising for
somebody else,
the competitor who also makes a similar?
Exactly.
That is, I think that's always a risk when small business faces. If you've come up with an innovative solution for which to a problem for which there are similarly innovative solutions, I think you always run that risk of sort of creating demand for yourself and your competitor.
Right.
One of the answers is always when the rising tide lifts all boats. So if you get a whole bunch of people saying, I hadn't thought about it. All I can ever buy are fitted sheets, or worse, you buy the pack of 2 flat sheets, and then you have to tuck the flat sheet in under the, get it? Nobody wants to do that. It's bad enough putting the flat sheet on. So, bad enough putting the one flat sheet on that you're going to put over yourself. So if you do that, and you get a whole bunch of people saying, wow, you're right, that is a real pain in the behind, and I really like the solution.
I know, it's all over internet.
And it's saying if you have this solution and somebody else's solution, okay, you've at least sort of created people who say people are going to use a zipper rather than buttons, right? Whatever your competitor's solution is.
Okay.
Where your differentiation is going to be on, I think in that case your differentiation is on 2 things: what your actual fastening technology is, how easy it is to use, how long it lasts, this pulling motion here where it wants to pull out of the seam, and how well your company executes on delivering this.
Okay.
Whether that's, now in your case, maybe you're going to one of the, I'm trying to think of who the big textile people are anymore, it used to be like Cannon Nail and some of those guys who were that make sheets, the place you make sheets and towels.
Right. You're gonna find it from me.
Right, exactly. Well, okay. So you go to them and you say, and you make the pitch, and then they're buying it. So ultimately, the consumer, the person who's going to Dillard's or Belk or Walmart or wherever to buy this thing, is partly right. So then you're writing on what their reputation is and how well their factories execute your design.
Okay. But again, if somebody has similar, actually what has happened, he made a search, the lawyer made a search, and it showed up that somebody has similar, fasteners, just like the zipper. So, and I have to come up with a different one. So now the question is, so if I'm going to come up with different zipper, am my patent more value? Can I get a patent just by type of fastener?
Maybe, if it's a significant, it's possible. It's possible. I think it probably requires getting away from the sliding fastener.
Okay.
Just say, okay, well, and I'm not a patent lawyer. I should disclaim all of this by saying I do not do patents. And you should talk to either the patent lawyers at Ludica or Robbie Robinson, who is an individual member and just started his own practice, or some other lawyer who is not an international relations major underneath all this. What I understand about it, though, is So you would be in writing your patent, you would be differentiating the invention you have to the prior art.
Right.
So if you're incorporating, so one of the things you do in that, one of the techniques is essentially to talk about all the problems with the other stuff.
Right.
So in that case, you'd be talking about all the horrible things that go wrong with zippers. They rip out of the seam. They pull apart. They get out of alignment. Have you ever had the zipper that where it gets one tooth off and you can never quite get them all lined back up?
But then it's lawyer gonna, okay.
They're going to help you with that.
Right,
But some of the way of doing that is for you to think about all the things that annoy you about all the zippers you've ever owned,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
All those terrible.
Okay, if they
I keep
have,
wanting to swear.
okay,
about this.
they have other ones, but they have different ones. So is it patentable if I'm gonna have different kind of fastener?
It is potentially. So you're saying we solve two problems. We solve this, the annoyance of putting on the fitted sheet, and we solve this other, somebody else has sort of solved this problem too, but we're also solving it. in
They
some
have
way.
different, they have
Right,
different.
so we're talking about using a different kind of sliding connector to solve the same problem. And that probably is, but now your patent is getting narrower, right?
Right.
So the guy with all the zippers, can sort of kind of cover the universe of, maybe he can cover the universe of all sliding connectors. It all depends on how the patent
Wait a second. Is zippers are everywhere, right? I mean, it's not like only here. So is zippers a problem or actual shape of whatever?
It's going to, it depends a lot on how the earlier patent is written. Or how the earlier, in some cases where somebody hasn't bothered to patent it, they just started making it, then that may knock that whole invention, that whole idea of using zippers to solve this problem out of the ability to be patented because somebody just started doing it.
Okay.
So that's hard to, that will depend a lot on what the kind of algorithms are.
Actually it's possible, right, to get a patent?
It's potentially possible.
Potentially.
Right, but it
Maybe.
depends so much on how that, what the earlier language looks like. Right?
Okay.
If he's
Okay,
a good patent lawyer writing that patent. I used to work for a high technology company before I started my practice, and our
Right.
patent lawyers did a good job of heading off all of the.
Right, the bad things and
Yeah, exactly. So if you're using not sticking to it's got to be the zipper, the metal zipper
Right,
from
right.
YKK, but you can also use plastic zipper. You can use a
Okay.
sliding,
Okay.
Ziploc type
Okay.
connector.
Okay.
Or something like that. So they may,
Okay.
that patent may cover all of that, and you
Okay.
need to look at some other kind of fastener technology.
Okay, that one is question for you. Can I go to Virginia to this patent place and see an examiner before? Just ask him those. Can I go and see examiner? Okay,
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so now, can I actually approach those people and buy their patent?
Yes, well, it depends on who holds it. Depends on if they're willing to sell it.
Yeah, right.
But there is, assuming those questions are yes, right?
Yes.
That there's nothing in the law that says you can't buy somebody else's.
Right.
Right.
So,
Or you can't. There's nothing in the law that says you can't sell your own.
So how can I find those people? I mean,
All you have to, if you know the patent number,
right, I know the patent
if you know the
number, I know
patent
their
number, you
names.
can actually search on the patent office's website for the assignments. So patents, and again, my IP colleagues will have to correct me if I'm wrong in detail, but in general, a patent is issued in the names of the inventors.
The names are there, names.
Yes,
but not the
and then it's assigned by the inventors to the company. If you work for a big company, then you assign them to, again, the big technology company I worked for, well, I'm sort of
I
trying to
understand
explain
what you're
to the
saying.
audience too.
So if they did not assign, they're
If
just by themselves.
they didn't, then in theory, you can go to any one of them. So
Right,
the patent owners, the patent inventors, the patent owners are what lawyers call tenants in common.
Right.
Each one of them has 100% right to the whole patent.
Right.
Now, what that means is he can license that inventor, he or she can license you all the rights they have.
Right.
But you can't prevent the other ones from doing the same thing to other people. Right? So what that means is
Are
you
you
have to
talking
get
about several
let's say you have a patent that's been invented by, let's say
Two
you
people.
and me, we make an invention and we invent widgets
Right.
and we get a patent on it.
Right.
Then but we don't set up a company to do it. We just take our inventions and go. Maybe we did. Maybe we're mad at each other. And you decide the licensures to Leo,
All right.
right? So Leo's going to set up a widget making business.
Okay.
Because Leo is a fantastic entrepreneur and he thinks widgets are the next big thing. Leo can keep anybody else in the world from by licensing the patent. Leo and you can keep anybody else in the world from making widgets using that patent, except people who get licenses from me. Because you and I have an
Okay,
equal right
you're
to it.
talking about the people who created the pattern. I mean,
Yes,
people who
exactly.
invented. Yeah, I understood this.
Okay, and so that if now the person you may need to deal with for this patent may be the company that they all worked for that's now taken an assignment. So
No,
what you're looking
that one, yeah, that one I understand I understand because I was reading books, but I would not understand if I would not read the books. But anyway, so how to find their actual phone number or address?
Well, you look for the name of the assignee.
But if they did not sign to anyone,
If the inventors didn't assign to anyone, then you have to try to dig the inventors up off the internet. If they've assigned to a company,
no, I'm asking you how to find people if I know their names and let's say.
best thing you can do on
You're
that,
acting like a lawyer. You're a
but because it depends on the person, right? I mean, it depends.
So you don't know how to find, right?
That's not my. I mean,
Okay.
I wind up hiring people to do that.
Right. So
hire
I can
somebody that
go
knows
like
how to
a
find
private
people.
investigator.
Private investigators, actually, somebody like Choice Data that does credit, that's the software arm of the Knoxville Credit Bureau. They're called Choice Data. They're
What is it?
they used to be the Credit Bureau of Knoxville,
Okay.
and so that's their Choice Data is really their
So it's the
sort
name of the company?
yeah
Choice
Choice Data. They're based up on High School Avenue.
Okay.
But they were the credit bureau for Knoxville and Oak Ridge, and they've taken all of that. Most of the actual credit information is now owned by these three big companies. But they license that, and they get other databases.
So I can get the.
They should be able to come up
Okay,
with
I got
something
it. I got it.
that lets you. They should be able to. You're paying them to go find these people.
Okay. So now maybe you don't know, but it's a question. So how am I going to find those manufacturers, everybody? Where? What kind of book should I look through or what?
Actually, one of the best things you can do is walk down the aisle and walk through the sheets, like the sheets and towels section at like a Bed Bath & Beyond or Walmart, because they'll have the labels.
So and I have to go through all those places. And,
It's called market research.
okay. Okay.
The other place, I'm trying to think of the other places would be, you have to look for, and Google is really good for this, is you just Google sort of like associate, like you're like looking for the association of
Yeah, but it's
textile
not. But
manufacturers.
it's not. Association is good. It's good. Now we've got this.
What you're looking for in that case, to find the master list, the list of lists,
Right.
you're looking for the thing that sits in Washington.
So now we've got
You're
this.
looking for the thing that sits in Washington,
Okay.
that lobbies Congress
Right, I
and the
got it.
regulatory
Very
agencies
good, very
for the
good.
interest of all people who
I
make
don't
sheets
get
and
to
towels.
Okay, so now, okay, very good. That one is the good one. Okay, that's all for now. So now I need, no,
Did we learn anything about Dave?
now I need those guys. Okay, how to find them?
Okay, the gentleman over here, the inventor, Carl
Papa.
he said that he has a fastener that you can use that's sort of similar to Velcro,
Okay,
but
good.
it's not Velcro, it's a brand new way. So that's something that you can look into.
Okay.
So basically you need to find different fasteners for your
Okay, yeah,
corners.
okay.
And so-
Okay, Leo, now, that one is my pledge. It's exactly what I came with, and you know, you're my witness. I came, I said, I want the E.O.K. be a center of entrepreneurs of America. This thing, whatever I'm gonna go through, we're gonna put this in a project. We're gonna have our boot camps here. We're gonna have our website where people can write to us, and we have to make, and all those lawyers gonna have those entrepreneurs to work with later on, okay? So that one is the future.
That's excellent. I mean, a nice case study of a successful entrepreneurial
Okay, got
project
it.
from start
So
to finish.
it's my pleasure, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I'll go. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll call you.
Dave, thank
Yes,
you.
you're
You
welcome.
can stay right there, Dave.
Okay.
So I hope you all
I'm gonna slide in here, I'm gonna sign us off. And I want to, if you need to send an invoice to somebody for that session.
Man, we didn't really agree on a fee up front.
Was there an engagement letter involved?
No, that's the benefit of being on E.O.K. Look, your camera's going to, listen, it's
That's all.
your camera's tight. Go fix your camera. I'll fix your camera.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, the camera decided to take a little snooze. We're gonna bring you back up.
Now we're coming back online.
Coming back, yeah, here we are.
We are.
Here we are.
Dave and Leo. All right, well, I did want to ask, I missed it in case you didn't, unless you've already talked about this. Starting a new practice here in town.
Yeah.
A new firm. What is that like? I mean, how do you, what kind of space requirements do you have, like your assistants that you have to hire? Do you market and advertise as an attorney?
I do. Okay, so I mean, I think for every lawyer it's a little different. I was fortunate or not. I came out of a big corporation, and so I wasn't taking a lot of clients with me. So I was really working on a shoestring. I've been very fortunate to sort of build up a practice base. But for somebody like Robbie Robinson at Robinson IP Law, not a sponsor but a good friend.
Yeah.
Robbie left with some work. So he had a little bit more of a running start.
Mm-hmm.
I was really sort of, having to get back in shape.
Yeah. Because you worked.
I worked for a big manufacturer of high technology medical scanners for 8.5 years.
Yeah. So you didn't have a lot of clients.
I wasn't taking any of their work, and that means that's like half of my career. I was not exactly bringing new clients with me.
Well, did you look around at all to was that of interest to you to find another startup to get into, to say, I want to be part of this one with stock options and that
Definitely.
kind of stuff?
I did, although it's been a little bit more challenging, and I've been really fortunate. As I said, half of my career was with this one particular kind of medical imaging, so I've gotten a fairly deep. I got a bunch of clients now, sort of running the gamut from setting up the corporation up through some folks are doing the second phase of their Series A capital raise this fall. So it runs a range.
Is that more of a passion to you to work with multiple companies, have your own firm, or would you still be entertained going in?
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed being my own boss.
Mm-hmm.
It was something I sort of knew I wanted. It was, again, you work for a company with 500,000 employees, and eventually you're like, okay, I'm tired of the number of bosses I have. At one point I figured I had 6 people that I had direct or dotted line reporting responsibility to. So that's kind of the impetus for saying, okay, now I need to do something else.
Now everybody's your boss, though.
Yes. On the other hand, I get to choose them.
Yeah.
Right? So my ethics professor once said a lawyer is not a bus, a lawyer is a piano. You don't have to take everybody who's waiting at the bus stop, but once you take them, you're going to have to play the tune and they want to play. And we're okay with that. And we're all sort of, and that's great. It has been a challenge. I probably don't do as much marketing as I should, but it's a little bit. You hit a point, and where I'm just coming up on it now, where if you do a bunch more marketing and pick up more work, then you get more people, and you suddenly have, then I go back from being a service provider to being a manager, and I'm okay with that, but at some point it scales beyond some point I find myself running a 10-lawyer law firm, and I'm back to.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're.
And it seems like there's some kind of accepted practice or something for advertising and marketing as an attorney. Like, depending on what kind of attorney you are, right? Like some of the attorneys have commercials that, they're getting you a check.
Yeah.
Some attorneys have their face on the side of a bus.
That's right.
Some attorneys have their face on a park bench. And then, or porta potties. But like what you do, I don't see that many of those attorneys advertising on the side of a bus.
That's true, and I think that some of that it goes back to the whole reason we started advertising is because there's a First Amendment case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court on essentially attorney commercial speech, right? Your ability to advertise versus, you go back 50 years in history, nobody advertised because the bar associations told us it was unethical to advertise at all.
Yeah.
We can all remember. I can remember the time when they didn't advertise prescription drugs on TV either. So the same kind of thing. There's a whole line of First Amendment cases out of the Supreme Court.
So my wife, like if a dentist or a doctor advertises, she will listen. If they're advertising, she's
right.
Like,
There's a certain. Well, yeah, exactly. So there's a certain sort of expectation that basically you're paying for by paying for the advertising, you're paying more for teeth. It's a real trade-off. It's just something for corporate lawyers, for securities lawyers that has not been as big a. It's a little more old-fashioned part of the industry, so we tend to do more of the
That's what it seems
marketing by visiting my website, www.morehouselegal.com.
Yeah, because there's got to be ways to get out there. I guess most of it would be word of mouth.
A lot of it's still word of mouth. Mine's been a lot of relationship building.
Yeah. A lot of networking events.
That's right.
That's a good way to do it. And you just get paid an hourly rate for all the work you do, or do you have any a la carte type stuff?
I have actually been going to, because I think, and frankly having retained lawyers myself, that feeling of, I don't know what I'm buying when I'm agreeing to pay an hourly rate, right? You're agreeing to sort of a black hole of bottomless fees. So I have been trying to make more and more of my practice focus on a la carte, or a fixed fee. So okay, we're going to do this. We're going to set up an entity, and we're going to do that is a fixed price. Plus, the state filing fees would vary depending on which state you're in. Blah blah. I have one where it's a fixed monthly fee, and you get an hour of my time, and we talk about whatever, right? And then we look at a lease, we look at a consulting contract, and blah 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 over the course of several months. And if some of those turn out to be big projects, then we can kind of reprice for a new big project. So, but I'm sensitive to the needs of entrepreneurs to not suddenly to be able to manage their budget.
Yeah.
So even fairly big projects, I've got a client who's starting a restaurant, and she's going to have to raise some capital to do that. So it's a big number when you really look at all the legal work that's got to happen. But then it's staged to places in that business growth.
Yeah.
So that it sort of matches up with the budgets.
Because what I've looked at is I like having an attorney available, on retainer or just by the hourly rate. Not always to create a contract or set up an entity or do whatever, but to make a phone call or to make a visit or just represent me.
Mm-hmm.
Just go here, talk to these people or whatever.
And actually, my biggest clients are now. We've moved to a sort of it's kind of gone the other way from a la carte. It's a strict flat rate. And it's someone if you price it hourly, some months would be higher, some months would be lower. But it should sort of be win-win. It matches up better with everybody's budget cycles. It frankly gives me some predictable revenue, gives them some predictable expense. So that's the kind of thing where now with them I kind of had an idea. We worked together for nearly a year when we set these relationships up. So we both had a sense of what we were coming to. So for something like that would be
I mean, it's been interesting to me to use some of my attorneys as project managers, you know. I just need to find out this information about this, or I need you to, like one of the things we have this little piece of property that's in Nevis.
Right.
So it's like in the Caribbean, all their rules are different, and it's easier for me to talk to my attorney and say, connect with someone down there, figure out the tax situation, figure out, you know, if I sell it, what's going to happen, you know, all of that stuff. And they ask all the right questions, and they deal with an attorney there. You know. I'm like, that's a good thing to have. And I don't think a lot of people think about just having a relationship with an attorney just to handle some of things.
I've been actually emailing on behalf of a client with another attorney in the UAE about, like, they have an operation in the UAE, so now we got to manage, like, incoming visas for incoming personnel, and it's not just the visa to be able to work, but also the work permit. That's a whole complicated thing. And it's a little bit of getting a straight answer out of the lawyers, which is not always
That's right. Yeah, because they're kind of dodgy whenever you're calling them
Right.
to talk to them.
Well, and then
they're kind of feeling you out. Exactly, why are you asking?
Well, and in my case, it activates all those things all those circuits I learned in a big company about. Just give me a straight answer,
Yeah.
right? Don't sort of dance around it. Just tell me, you know. I finally, you know, after the third email, no, really, these are the 5 questions I need you to answer. All right, find another law firm.
But I mean, I love it, and I would advise other people to do that too. Not just use an attorney for bad things like lawsuits and defense, or even things that sometimes I think are just this necessary evil expense of forming the entity, doing the disclosure documents and everything. It's like, good Lord, this costs so much, but you have to do it. But the enjoyable times, whenever I just have my attorney like to chit chat with, have them make some phone calls for me, have them do the research, have them interact with some possible tenant or possible buyer.
And I used to tell Salesforce when I worked at this big company that we were always the people you blame stuff for, right? That's why the company paid. That's why the company paid for us was to give them. Well, yeah. Lawyers will let me do it.
You always need that out, right? Like you're in negotiations, you need that ability to say, I would love to say yes right now, but
somebody's got to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
That's why you pay the lawyers, is to be.
I'm going to have to check with Dave before I go any further. It's better than sound like choke my wife before I go any further, which is actually the truth.
I have some suggestion because that guy, the Bob Fox.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna use him forever now, whatever. See, the moment he talked to me, you know, you call the lawyer, it's a lot of money. Everybody knows. You know, you're afraid to talk to lawyer. You know, I had the real estate lawyer. Okay, just I was buying my condo. And guy talked about everything, about his appendix, whatever, and after he charged me. You know what I mean?
6 minutes on the appendix, no, right? 6 minutes on the appendix, $30.
We just had this. I paid him $300, and actually, at the last moment, he said he cannot make it, and I paid for his talk. You know what I mean? So.
I do cut them off every now and then. Like I'm on the phone, and they start chit-chatting. I'm like,
okay, so what I'm trying to say, the lawyers can get back later on a lot by just letting people to know that you just talk to them. It's not going to be built just for a talk, you know. And later on, I'm going to stay with him. I'm going to, you know, refer the real patent, whatever, the whole enchilada, whatever, because I trust him now. You know?
Those are the good ones that when they're doing that, they're learning, they're doing their research.
You're gonna get later on. I said you can get everything when I'm gonna do the real patent, but I cannot. I told him right in the beginning. He said, "Don't worry," and he just, you know, that was. I said, "I have my budget. I cannot go over." He said, "Don't worry. Talk to me. Say everything." And now he.
Yeah, I mean, from
so make comfortable.
Speaking for myself, and I can't speak for every lawyer in town. Speaking for myself, exactly. That you don't want to know that when you come in to start talking, the clock is already running. And I think for a lot of us
And
lawyers,
that's a deterrent, it's very scary.
That's right. I think for a
That's
lot of
the thing you don't want.
for a lot of lawyers in smaller firms, I'm certainly one of them. Well, I'm not going to I'm not turning the billing clock on for that initial discussion. And we've had, there are a couple of people out of E.O.K. who have really, we've had lunch, they bought lunch, and I've said, look, the clock's not running. We're going to have this conversation. It's because we're even seeing if there's a fit. Like, do you like me? Do I like you? Do we? And in one case in particular, we had a great lunch. It was a good personal fit. But he said, look, we're not having money right now. Okay, but we were having a conversation by email just the other day. Because it was not something, it took me probably, kind of sort of pull it all together. It took about an hour, but I'm not going to charge him for that. Because we don't have a deal in place. I know he doesn't have money.
You're building relationships.
Right. So why
You have to
don't
be
you write
careful
this
though
on your
also.
why don't you write this on your card or on your website?
It is on my website.
That the initial conversation not for free. Period.
No, you don't want to say it for free because
It actually goes back. It
You're
actually
gonna
goes back
get
to.
later on. If people gonna refer you to somebody else, I mean.
But you're absolutely right, John. But
Well said.
one of the problems actually is that you get back into this question about the advertising, and so many of the plaintiffs' lawyers, the guys who are two for you, or that group of advertising lawyers are so, and I should say I appreciate what they do in the system. If they're my colleagues, I'm not trying to slag them, but there is a degree of them. Right, no, that's right, exactly. But there's that tagline, sort of the initial consultation is free, is so common in those TV ads that just using it kind of makes people sort of reviewing the ad think that you're right there. So, but yes, it is. I mean, it's
Find
totally.
another way, just can say something
Right.
about this. I think it's gonna bring you a lot of clients. Later on.
All right, man. I
All right.
appreciate it. You are the man to talk to, I think, about any of your business startup needs or taking it to the next level, or just go out and have a good lunch and a beer with them.
Also, I also have several clients who are looking for money. So if you know anybody who is trying to, who has $25,000 to $100,000 they're looking to put somewhere, please feel free to give me a call.
what about the microfund?
Microfund is supposed to be, it was supposed to already have started up. I need to check with Dave and Eric and see where we are.
Yeah,
Maybe you guys are waiting on me to respond to something.
Yeah, we're into one of those. I'm not sure who's in charge right now.
Yeah.
Modes. And we do need to.
I pitched it here at the ACG meeting that night,
Mhm.
and everybody was fired up about it. They thought it was amazing, great idea, let's get it done. And it's, making it a for-profit, having investors, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because that's the debate we were having. We were talking about if it should be nonprofit or for-profit.
Yeah.
If it was nonprofit, we had the ability to maybe get some grant-type money and some funds, foundations that could support a nonprofit for that kind of giving. But if it's for-profit, you can go out and get a bunch of investors just to put a little bit of money in, and they make a little bit of return on their investment by having it in this fund. Kind of operates like a big mutual fund.
Yeah, I mean, it operates like what it operates like is private equity. It's just working in a much slower part of the market, but that's the same kind of structure as others.
Yeah.
I'll be willing to help you with that.
Yeah, everybody was cool with it being a for-profit and the investors making some money if there's money to be made, the board getting paid, all of that stuff was cool. I don't think you guys put anything in about the board being paid, did you? Or maybe you did.
There was an
something
equity
about
piece in that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, some equity too. All right, well, I want to thank Dave Morehouse. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. This was a great And, lunch today. Lunch today is at Cafe 4, at what time, noon?
Noon.
Noon, is that like in 10 minutes or something?
No, we still have.
45.
Okay,
Excellent, good.
we still have a lot of time.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. This has been the E.O.K podcast. You can find us online at eokhq.com or follow us on Twitter at EOK Town. Thanks.